I know you read the title of this video and thought, oh, it's just another person telling us why Sonic Forces sucks. But I actually have a lot more to say about the game besides its horrible mistakes. Let's talk about the things Sonic Forces did well and try to decide the point where this game went wrong. But before we get into this video, if you aren't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel. Only about 1% of the people who watch my content are actually subscribed, so I really appreciate it. But anyways, back to the video. For a Sonic Boost game, I think Sonic Forces had an amazing start with the first few levels and storytelling, even though there are parts that I know people hate. For example, the first stage, Green Hills, is an excellent introduction back into the 3D Sonic formula, but there is something counterintuitive about these stages that they have. If Sonic didn't move so fast, you'd actually see there's a lot of effort put into the backgrounds in these stages and gives a nice ambiance for the players to enjoy, but I don't know why they chose to put so much effort into these backgrounds when the gameplay didn't receive the same amount of effort. But now onto the first cutscene, and probably the moment where everyone started to hate this game. As a Sonic fan, I definitely did too. There's no easy way to say this, but Sonic got his ass beat. The story of Sonic getting jumped and taken out by a bunch of copies of old villains seems so weird. And who is this dude wearing a mask? Like, why would you do this, Sega? I can probably count on a hand how many times Sonic has lost a fight, and I think that flows into Sonic's character as a whole. I'm not saying Sonic can't lose because it could be good for story purposes sometimes, but this was just way too much. However, the cutscene after this, where we see all the different characters react to Sonic losing and them thinking that he could possibly be dead, is really interesting. I like how Knuckles is like the general of the army, and it feels like the coolest role that he ever could possibly have as a character. Knuckles can actually be a leader and command a team. Who knew? And then there's Tails. They literally say Tails lost his mind after Sonic lost, which makes me think that Tails, how did this happen to his character? They completely butchered it. The whole point of Sonic Adventure 1 was Tails gaining like a set of balls, basically. He was gaining the ability to realize that he can be a hero himself. And that was kind of played up a little bit more on Sonic Adventure 2. So why does his character regress so much here? To the point where they're saying he's gone crazy. And none of this happens on screen, by the way. It's all off screen. When we come back to Tails, he's not acting crazy. So I don't know what there's like different writers on this team that are, one has a good story and one of them has a different story that they're trying to tell, but obviously there's some discrepancies there. Now, the problem with this is that immediately after introducing the player-created character, we find out that Sonic is still alive. And that makes everything that happened in the last cutscene completely pointless. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, so let's talk about the created character in this game and go over the second stage. This stage is actually pretty good. There's some nice cinematics as well as interesting level design. And I think the problem with this kind of movement with the created character, this feels like a worse version of Sonic. Yeah, you have some weapons that are pretty cool, kind of like the drill, which makes you go really fast, but the core gameplay of the character is just a watered down Sonic. I don't know why they decided to go with this. If the players were lost after the first cutscene, they were barely holding on to their controller now. And after this stage, we're greeted with another cutscene with Tails. And this is where the story narrative completely falls apart. Like I said earlier, Tails does not look distraught at all. It's not shown to us whether he knows if Sonic is still alive or not at this point, and nobody has talked to them, so it's weird to see how calm and normal he seems to be. He even calls out for Sonic to save him from chaos without even trying to protect himself. What happened to the competent Tales of Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, or even Generations for some extent? This character has been completely destroyed. There are many times where Tails gets serious after not having Sonic holding him up. Even in Sonic Adventure, when we thought Eggman killed Sonic, he was immediately ready to throw down with him. This Tails is the shell of his former self, and all the growth that he had is gone, like all the members of the cast besides Knuckles in this game. Everyone is just a side character. What happened to Silver? Nothing. Like, he has no character anymore. He's just there. And it gets worse from here. Sonic Generations Classic Sonic comes out of nowhere and one-shots Chaos. How? Even if this is a clone of Chaos, I just don't see that happening. And why is he here? How is he here? Tails try to explain it because it's due to Infinite's powers, but that's not something he's ever been shown to be able to do. So where is this coming from? At this point, the entire story of Sonic Forces falls apart. It's almost like there's two sides that the story is trying to tell. One team that really likes good storytelling and making things match Sonic's characters and stories, and another team that doesn't give a damn about Sonic canon and just wants to do random stuff that they think is cool with no concern to the story. I think there's no better example of this than our main villain, Infinite. To keep this pretty short, I will say Infinite has one of the coolest designs that a Sonic character has ever had, but also has the dumbest backstory ever. He got beat up by Shadow one time and basically gave up on himself. Pretty sad, really. But enough about him, let's talk more about the gameplay styles that we have in Sonic Forces. Sonic Forces has 4 different gameplay styles. We have the Boost Sonic gameplay, created character solo, Classic Sonic, and Boost Sonic teaming up with the created character. Of all these styles, the team up is probably the most fun to play as. You get all the benefits of using Sonic with the slight freedoms of the created character's weapons. Most of the Boost Sonic stages are really good by themselves for a Boost game, of course. But in terms of Classic Sonic, the game feels way too slow, and it adds in a bunch of instant death pits for no reason, and it gets a little annoying very quickly. In all the styles, though, there's the problem of Sonic feeling clunky for no reason. It's very difficult to have Sonic or the playable character run in a circle, and that becomes a big problem when you have 3D sections where you need to constantly be turning. Don't get me wrong, though, this doesn't mean the gameplay is bad. It kind of gives you the chance to enjoy the type of Sonic gameplay you like, but a lot of players love the classic Sonic levels, and it's not my cup of tea, personally. The Boost stages can be weird to rate since they sometimes move so fast you have no clue what's going on, but that chaos can also be fun too. If anything, the gameplay isn't bad, it's definitely a Sonic game, and honestly, I want to play the game again, and it was a pretty fun game to play. But one big problem though is the ranking system. It's really hard not to get an S rank on a stage, and I mean really hard. In older Sonic games, it was difficult to get an amazing S rank when beating a stage, but Sonic Forces is so forgiving you can die multiple times and still get an S. This does not make any sense. All the effort that you would usually have to put in to use all the different tricks and the skills that you need to acquire to make that S rank possible are non-existent here, and that's not very good. And even worse, we haven't even talked about the boss fights yet. These fights are the worst boss fights I've ever played in Sonic history, which is saying a lot because Sonic boss fights usually suck anyway. We fight Infinite way too many times, and every time he talks big like he's gonna kill us but always leaves without finishing the job. Why make a villain so threatening if he isn't willing to commit to his words? He did not have to be this type of villain. Even Silver from Sonic 06 was more of a threat to Sonic, and he wasn't even sure if he had the conviction to kill someone or not. It's just really off-putting to always be winning in gameplay, but never win in a cutscene. It's just lame. Unlike games like Sonic Heroes, where the stages can last up to 6 to 7 minutes, you can finish most of the levels in this game in about 1 to 2 minutes. These levels are so short you barely get to enjoy them. There are plenty of secret stages for you to play, but those stages can't be played with every single character. For example, you can only play classic Sonic stages with classic Sonic, even though there are 2D sections with Sonic, Shadow, and the created character. It just seems so lame. I also noticed something. This game is missing Super Sonic. In the whole story, he's non-existent. There aren't even any emeralds. I did some digging and I found that you could later download DLC to play as Super Sonic, but like I said earlier, he can't be picked in every single stage. All you have to do is gather 50 rings, which is trivial, so you'll basically always get Super Sonic whenever you play him, and he's pretty broken, so it is a little bit of fun and nostalgic, but I think that's only nostalgia speaking there. You can also download the Shadow the Hedgehog story, lets you play as him, but it doesn't really do anything. It adds some story elements, but only gives Infinite's backstory, which we already talked about is lame anyway, so I can't really say it's worth having. Sonic Forces does suck, but there are actually a bunch of great things about the game that I think a lot of the Sonic community didn't give it credit for. If anything, without Forces trying to delve back into Sonic combat again, I doubt we would have got the combat system that we have in Sonic Frontiers. And on top of that, the game looks good visually. The stages have so much detail, and it's amazing to slow down and just look at what's going around you. It gives that feel of like a Dark Souls game where it's all these beautiful sights to see, but it's a Sonic game, so you don't even get to see it. The game has its fair share of issues, but a lot of the same issues plague most Sonic games. And it's kind of crazy that a lot of Sonic fans seem to want to hate this game even if they haven't played it before. And that doesn't make any sense to me. But either way, it was fun playing through Forces and seeing why the community hates this game so much. Honestly, I can't say I agree with that, It's not a bad game. All I can say is that Sonic Forces was a waste of effort. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and of course comment down below what other type of videos you would like to see on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.